Here's my latest update video using the Insta360 Luna Ultra. I'm using the latest firmware and I've got my sledgehammer out, so we're going to do some slow motion bashing and beating into things to show you what it's like. I've shot a lot of video in many different settings, even doing some color grading to the log footage. So we have a lot to cover in this video. So let's get started. In this video, I'm looking at the Insta360 Luna Ultra once again, and I've shot a lot over many days, shooting both photos and video. Maybe I've shot the most with this camera than anybody at this point. I'm going to show some slow motion video, some 8K footage, and some photos. In fact, I think I figured out what the raw photo problem was, and it's maybe a Mac problem with the color profiles. I've shot at multiple different events and things going on around town, both outdoors in good light and in low light shooting mode. And I've also used the tracking feature a lot, and it's worked really well. You're going to get to see that. Boats, people, and so on. I'm also going to be doing a little bit of log color grading in this video, showing how I would color grade some of the log footage. So I just wanted to say also thanks for watching, everybody, and please like and subscribe to the channel, and we're going to get right into this right now. Now here we see both my older DJI Pocket 3 sitting next to the new Luna Ultra. And with the Luna Ultra, with the newer battery in here, this lasts a long time. Actually, I have to put on this extended battery on the Pocket 3 to even come close. And even with the extended battery, I still seem to be getting longer battery life out of the Luna without an extra battery. And when you put them together, actually, when you add this extended battery on, the Pocket 3 is actually a little bit longer. So when people say, oh, the Luna is bigger, well, not really, because to get the really good battery life, you really got to put the extended battery on, and then this is actually a little bit longer. Now, one thing to compare, though, is the Pocket, or the DJI Pocket 3, when they had their really good firmware update, you now have 20 millimeter to 40 millimeter of what they're calling lossless zoom. And then after that, you can zoom into like 60 in the digital zoom. Well, it's basically the same thing you get with the Luna on the 1-inch sensor chip, this is also the 1-inch sensor chip on the Pocket 3. You get on the Luna 20 millimeter to 40. And then when you go to around the 60, that's when it switches to the other lens. And then it's no longer a 1-inch sensor chip. Now I have my cell phone here. This is my iPhone 17 Pro Max. I can go from, I think it's 13 millimeter, 24 millimeter, 100 millimeter, and 200 millimeter. So when you go into the secondary lens here, going from the 60 to the 120, you're basically not getting much better quality than the cell phone in the 100 millimeter to 200 millimeter range, except I actually, at the 200 millimeter range, I got much better zoom range with just my cell phone. And when I'm using the motion stopping, controlling feature on here, whatever it's called, that works really well on the cell phone, better than I guess a lot of people realize, because I've shot a lot of footage with this, and I'm going to show you some comparisons with 100 millimeter and 200 millimeter, so you can see that if you actually just had the Pocket 3 and used your cell phone for zoom things, you get a better zoom range at 200 millimeter, and you get 100 millimeter. And then you could use this for walking around for your wider shots, which most of the time, that's what I would be using, like on a travel video, walking around inside of buildings, around the city, and so on. Anyways, I wanted to show all this and just give kind of an example of how all this works. First, I'm going to get into the photo quality, mainly shooting raw photos. The JPEG photos are pretty decent coming out of the camera. For a 1-inch sensor, it's not bad at all, but of course it's not going to give you the focusing and accurate quality that you would get from a more professional, dedicated photography camera. But overall, it's not bad. Now, the raw files, there seems to be a huge problem, especially if you're a Mac user. I'm a Mac user. I edit in Mac apps and so on, and that's where there seems to be a problem. I haven't been able to test this on Windows since I'm a Mac user, but I'm going to show you the problem. And I went through some files, I asked AI some things, and it showed me what it thinks the problems are, and we're going to get into that. So maybe there could be a fix for this if they just fix how they're making the DNG files. Let's get right into it. Here's how it looks on my Mac in the Finder. You can see the thumbnails come up black. And when I look at one of the previews, like you see to the right, I can open up a larger one, and all the blacks are completely crushed and they're unrecoverable. Also in the Mac program Pixelmator Pro, you can see when it loads in, all the blacks are completely crushed and once again, unrecoverable. Now here's Photomator on Mac. I use Photomator for all my editing. It's replaced Capture One, it's replaced Lightroom. It's worked perfectly on every single file I've ever tried to use, including other DNG files. But when I load in anything from the Insta360 Luna Ultra, this is what I get. All the blacks completely crushed, and no matter what I do, I cannot recover them. And what this seems to be is a problem where the DNG files are actually not compatible with the Mac, the way the Mac reads and displays the raw files. Now here's how it loads into Luminar Neo. I have many different photo editing programs. It loads in black, but here I can recover it in this program because I guess it's using its own color profile. Even using a Google browser, using a Dropbox feature in Google Chrome, even Chrome is showing it completely black with the blacks crushed because it's using the Mac color system to display the raw files. I also have DxO Photo Lab, and you can see here it cannot read these files whatsoever. And now here's Capture One that I also have, lots of editing programs. And Capture One loads it in. The blacks aren't totally crushed, it just loads in extremely dark, but I can recover it in here because I think it's using its own raw color engine. Now this is quite amazing. This is DaVinci Resolve, where it has the new DaVinci Resolve 21 has the raw photo editing feature. I could load it in there and the images load in the best of any program to be able to start editing them right away without them coming in completely dark, because DaVinci Resolve definitely uses its own complete color profiles and color raw engine. So what this shows is anytime you're using the raw engine of your Mac, the color profile where it's converting raw images to be able to display it in any type of program that uses the Mac raw image, which is a lot of them, it doesn't work because the DNG files from the Insta360 Luna Ultra apparently aren't made correctly, and they just need to fix that. Let's see what AI says about this. I loaded in some of the metadata from some of the DNG files from the Insta360 Luna Ultra, and basically AI looked at them and said the metadata is basically being changed shot by shot, and it's not your normal type of metadata that it should be. So it's basically saying that it needs to stop writing chaotic dynamic metadata and instead write strict standardized DNG tags that Apple's rigid engine can understand. So it looks like Insta360 could fix this, but they're going to need to change how the DNGs or files are written to make them written properly, if this AI information is correct. I don't know, but there sure does seem to be a problem in every single Mac app that I have that uses the raw engine within the Mac system, where these DNG files do not show up right. So that's what I think is going on with the raw photos, and how you can edit the raw photos as long as you're using a different program that apparently has its own color space. And if it's using the Mac color space, like a lot of Mac programs do, like I was showing you, then you're going to have this super underexposed, the blacks are all crushed look to your image that you can't really save. But if you use a different program that uses its own color profiles, then you're probably going to be okay, at least semi-okay. I still think they're a little bit on the dark side. Now let's get on to the next part of the video. Now let's get into the videos and have some fun. I've shot at a bunch of different events around town, went and shot more boats, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a lot of 4th of July celebrations going on, and I shot some slow motion in all the different settings we're going to see, shot some 8K and lower light, and that was just kind of a disaster, and I'll show you that. If you try cropping into 4K, it just looks like total mush. And I'll show you that. And also I'm going to show you some color grading I'm going to do on some of the clips. I got another video where I've showed how to apply a LUT and do color grading all in DaVinci Resolve right in the edit area, and that's what I'm going to do for all this as well. So let's get into that, the video portion of this video. Let's jump right into some slow motion video. This was shot at 60 frames per second, so I've slowed it down to 50%. And this is what a slow motion clip looks like, slowed down to half speed, shooting at 60 frames per second. Now let's color grade this a little bit. So here I'm editing, doing the color grading within the edit panel in DaVinci Resolve. What I did is I boosted the exposure, changed the contrast, the flare, the pivot, pulled down the highlights a little bit, brought up some of the shadows, and then for the color grading, I changed quite a few things to get the color of the water and the sky to be a different color. Oh, there's that bump you can see when I'm zooming out. But anyways, that's a color graded different look, just for fun, something to do. Here's another boat. Now we're going to zoom in to 6x. This is with the normal color profile. LUT from Insta360. Now I'm going to add some color grading, a little bit similar to the last boat. Gives the whole water a different color, the letters of the boat a different color. Now coming up next, I have another one. This is 60 frames per second, slowed down to half speed. And I'm going to do not color grading, but I'm just going to tweak the exposure a little bit right here. So here, using the multi-grade V2 plugin, I changed some of the exposure setting, contrast, and so on, and I even cooled down the temperature just a little bit to bring out some of the blues better. On this next one, it's also shot at 60 frames per second, slowed down to half speed. And this is with the active tracking going, and I'm walking along the shore and it's tracking this boat fantastically, doing a really good job. And I color graded this whole clip just for the fun of it, giving the water a little bit different color look, so I hope you like it. This next clip, this is with the active tracking on, so the camera is tracking this boat by itself. And this is just at 30 frames per second, 4K. And I'm doing a little bit of tweaking to the brightness and contrast and so on. Okay, here we're shooting towards an outdoor restaurant that's right on the water. I personally don't think this looks that great. When I've noticed there's a lot of people in pictures like this, it doesn't seem to make anything very sharp looking. Anyways, this is at 2x zoom with nothing done to it but the LUT put on. Now let me show you something completely different. This is my iPhone 17 Pro Max. I'm shooting this handheld inside a mall, no gimbal needed here, just with the regular settings within the camera itself. I'm going to show you a few more from the iPhone 17 Pro Max so you can see what I'm talking about when I say my cell phone does a great job. Now this is the Panama Canal in Panama, and I'm holding my cell phone between a fence, just holding it there. Here's another one from the Panama Canal. This is at 100mm with my cell phone. Is the Luna footage any better than this? No, it's not. Now here's 200mm handheld with my cell phone. Once again, this is at the Panama Canal. This is one of the ships that's passing through the canal, and I'm just zoomed in at 200mm. No problem here. And here's one more. This is the ship leaving, and this is 100mm with the iPhone 17 Pro Max, shot in log using the Blackmagic camera app. And it has a preview LUT. Okay, now it's time to break a few things. Here's a laptop. We're going to smash the heck out of this thing. We're at 120 frames per second here, slowed down. Also, I'm going to apply some, not color grading, but some brightness, contrast, and so on to this, because I feel like just with the LUT by itself, it's lacking a little bit of excitement or contrast. But anyways, you can see what 120 frames per second looks like. We're also going to pop some balloons, smash some tomatoes, and a couple other things coming up after this. Now we have a tomato to smash. This is at 120 frames per second, slowed down. There's a first attempt. Now we're gonna get a second attempt here and watch this thing splat. Oh yeah, there we go. Crush that tomato, ready for a vegetable salad or something. Hey, let's make some spaghetti sauce. Okay, we tossed another tomato out there and boom, there we go. 120 frames per second to big smasheruna. And next we're gonna fill up a couple balloons and try a couple different speeds, popping them. And here we go with the balloon. This is gonna take multiple tries here to pop this thing. This is at 120 frames per second, also slowed down. This is what you can expect. And there we go with a big boom. Yes. Okay, here's another quick one for you, and there it goes. Now we're gonna move the speed all the way up to 240. Now this will be in HD quality. Okay, my helper here, Aaron, is loading up another balloon, and I've switched over to HD quality and 240 frames per second. Okay, here we go on this one. Let's see how slow this is. This is in HD quality, and there it goes. Kaboom. Nice slow motion. We're gonna do one more. Okay, here's another one at 240 frames per second. And boom. Nice and slow. Insta360 Luna Ultra. Okay, one more slow motion and then we'll move on. This was shot at 60 frames per second and slowed down to 30. So that is actually slowed down, flames burning. Looks like a big barbecue. Now here's the hangout. This is 2X. We're going to go out back where they have the band playing here in just a little bit. This is probably going to be a little dull because it's not very lit up. Well, it is lit up. It's just everything's in a shadow area, so it's probably going to be a lot of muted colors. Now we're walking into the hangout area where they have a band playing. I'm right by the side of the stage. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here and shoot some. You can see that little bump where it switches lenses. I find that to be incredibly annoying. And also moving from right to left, the panning is quite fast. And I'm going to use active track here, and it is locking right on to the lead singer there, the guy with the straw hat. Oops, wrong way. There we go. I'm trying to get the whole band in there. The active track is locking on to the lead singer there. So I was happy to see that. That was working out pretty good. What do you think of this footage? This is just with the standard LED applied, no extra editing done to it. See how that zooms from side to side, just really too fast. It's just kind of jerky. But anyways, this is what this looks like. We're going to look at some more footage here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. They're just getting ready to go on a break right now. And there's 6X zoomed in. So what do you think? Does that look kind of soft to you? To me, it looks very soft. I'm not sure. Tell me what you think. Is this soft looking or not? Now the band is back from break. They're back up on stage, and I have the active tracking set right to the lead singer. And it looked like when that guy walked by, it kind of lost him a little bit, or it got out of focus a little bit. I don't know if it's just me or what, but I'm watching it on a big TV screen, and it just doesn't seem to be very sharp. This is not super low light yet here. The sun's still out. The sun is not set. Anyways, what do you think about this footage? This is just with the main LUT applied with no other improvements or editing done. Okay, now we're shooting in 8K. We're in full 8K quality. Does this look like a good 8K quality to you? What do you think it's going to look like when we crop into 4K? Because the video is actually 4K, so we should be able to take that 8K and crop way into it to a 4K clip and get awesome resolution. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, here we go. This is 8K, but it's cropped into the 4K resolution. So this should give us a fantastic looking 4K file from the 8K file. What does that look like to you? To me, it just looks super incredibly soft. I wouldn't call that even HD quality. That's my opinion. What do you think? Now it's starting to get a little bit lower light out, and this is that fantastic 8K quality. 8K quality video. Look at that. That is just ultimately fantastic. Or is it not ultimately fantastic? So let's crop into it and get that great 4K video that we should be able to get, and we'll do that right now. Okay, here we are zoomed in from 8K to the 4K on the 4K video. So this should be an awesome 4K, super sharp 4K quality. But that's not what I'm seeing. I don't see a 4K quality here. I don't even see an HD quality. It just gets kind of grainy and soft and smushy looking. What do you guys think? Is this good? In my opinion, I don't think it is. I'm not real happy with this crop in from 4K. It's actually very disappointing. Okay, that was a little bit of the low light shooting with the low light mode, and so is this. I think that works really well on this. Okay, now it's the next day, and we're at another amusement park here, and this is 4K 30. Gonna shoot some more for fun. Here I'm gonna do a nice smooth zoom out to see how that looks. There we go. Here's an interesting test for the tracking mode. I actually turned the tracking on, and it is found that girl way over there. I'm at 6x, zoomed in, and it is tracking her from this far distance. I'm going to zoom out, and it's still tracking her, and then you see a little bit of that bump when the lenses change, but that wasn't bad for tracking at that distance. Okay, a little bit of following myself around and see what that looks like. Holding the camera out in front of me with the 20mm 1x zoom. And that's what it looks like. And here's some water fountains doing a little bit of a water show here. This amusement park is really slow. There's hardly anybody here. We're very few people walking around. It's quite amazing how slow this is here for this time of the year in the middle of summer. Here I'm going to do a zoom in test to see if you see that bump, see if that affects this much. Didn't seem like, well, right when I stopped there, it kind of jerks. What do you think? Was that a smooth zoom or not a smooth zoom? This time we will zoom out. Do we see any bump problem here or color shifting? Oh, wow. Not only did I see a bump, I saw a gigantic color shift. Are you happy with that? I'm not happy with that, but that's how this works. At this point, I'm just walking around shooting a lot of different things to show what the camera can do. Here's a walk-up zoom, walking up to zoom in. See what this looks like. Does it stay in focus? Does everything look good? Yeah, that looks pretty decent. What do you think? Now here I'm actually holding the Insta360 Luna Ultra upside down with the lens down by the ground, walking and having it shoot upwards to get kind of a different angle. Here's a nice colorful sign. We're going to do a nice slow zoom out and see what this looks like. Is it nice and smooth? Do we get a bump? Of course we get a little bump. That annoying bump. Now here I'm back again holding the camera upside down really low to try to get this angle of the dog. And I do have the tracking on, and it's tracking the dog's movement really well. Even with the other dog there, it's keeping the tracking on the right dog, doing a great job. Okay, now it's the next day, and I was bringing my dog over to this beach area to take him for a walk on the beach, and we're going to shoot some video. We got all the way down there, and it's pouring rain. Well, not pouring rain, but enough rain where we can't get out of the car. What a bummer. This is what it looks like. Okay, now it's another day. This is a better day. The rain all stopped. And this is another event we're at another location. This is back at the wharf, which we've shot at before, and they've got a big celebration going on. Now for this, I'm going to just stand still right here, and I'm going to use the little dial here and push to the right. I've got the head pointed to the left. So now we're just going to do a zooming using the little lever here. I'm just holding the camera still pointing straight. Let's see how far we're going to go around here. Will it make it all the way around to me? Of course it will. Hey, there we go. All the way around.
Catch me.
All right.
Get my shoes. Uncle Sam's got very tiny feet. Happy 4th of July and welcome to the world.
It's a bubble machine. How fun is that? I'm literally pushing the zoom button right now and it is not moving. Nothing's happening. It's all the way pushed up. Let me let go. I'm going to try that again. And there we go. It finally engaged. That happens quite often where the zoom rocker just does nothing. I'm at 1.9x here. Oh, I went past 6. We're at 7.4. Let me draw this back a little bit. Now I'm at 5.9. Actually, my glasses are fogging up. Very hot and humid out here. Mr. Camel, tell us how you are today in this hot heat. There's another one coming.
It's a rough ride.
Now that's the right way to come to an event. Tailgating in your own truck. Cool. Now what do we got going on over here? It looks like something. I'm not sure what this is. Looks like dry. Oh, it looks like maybe shaved ice drinks. I better zoom in here and check it out. Zooming in, zooming in. I'm at 5.4x. Zoomed in. Looks like maybe they're giving flavor samples or mixing up drinks here. We need to go a little bit wider to check this out.
I want a stomach. Thank you.
Now here's some basketball, a little game going on, and this was shot at 60 frames per second, and we've cut it down to half the speed to create this slow motion clip. This is what it looks like. Balls in the air, there they go. All right. Now they got the right idea. Big mega golf cart fits a bunch of people. We're slowly getting darker and darker as the sun sets here. And you can start seeing some of the Ferris wheel colors. Actually, I just had another error where I hit play or record and it beeped and then I had no recording. I had to press it again and it beeped a second time. So I'm still having that little bit of an error problem. Why do you have hats on?
Like it?
Why do you have hats on?
You got them, man.
Got
Yeah,
it?
get the interview.
Oh. Where you from?
Kentwood,
Where's that at?
Louisiana, right there on the Mississippi line.
Louisiana, huh? You having a good time?
Oh, yes, sir.
All right. Well, happy 4th of July weekend.
You too.
You guys have fun. It's getting to be darker and darker out. What happens if I go around real quick? Does it keep me in focus? Yeah, maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. I'm getting dizzy walking in a circle. People are looking at me like I'm nuts. Let me flip this back around. Here's the Alabama Sweet Tea Company. And for some reason, this must be awful good. The people are standing in line to get in here to drink some Alabama sweet tea. Okay, I have it active tracked right on the stinger on stage. Nothing like having some massive backlighting. Oh boy, couldn't get any worse. Big bright light behind them. I'm gonna have to get like a side angle. Okay, I took the little screen off.
1970s right here.
Hold the camera up over my head right now.
This is for you, baby. This is for you.
No active tracking.
One of the greatest songs ever.
I'm staring at the little screen down below. So far, it's not pixelating like I've had happen before. I think that has something to do with certain electronics that you might be buying. I don't think he's using a wireless microphone or a wireless guitar setup. I think sometimes that interferes with it. Now I just engaged deep tracking. And of course it moves him down right to where I don't want him to be. So I'm going to shut off deep tracking. Load him back up in the area I would like him to be. I'd like to have a lot better control over deep tracking. Anyways, that's a pretty good test. Okay, it's dark enough now where you can see the Ferris wheel lit up really good. Well, at least I can on the screen now because I'm in night mode. So it's showing me all the colors. I think this looks pretty awesome. I'm going to push a button and zoom into 2x. There we go. So this is 2x. We're getting ready to leave. We're going to go eat some Mexican food down the road here. It's getting extremely hot. There's so many people here. You wouldn't want to go eat at a restaurant here. You'd never get in. It'd take you an hour. Anyways, I hope this helped. And oh wait, let's zoom into 6x right into the center of it. There's 3x. And there's 6x. So that was my updated video on the Insta360 Luna Ultra. For me, I still think it has too many problems or settings that just aren't what I want. So I've already printed my return paperwork and it looks like I'm going to return it. But that doesn't mean it's a bad camera. Many people will be very happy with this and enjoy it. Since I've been using my Pocket 3 for so many years now and using my cell phone, which gives me the 100mm and 200mm zoom range in 4K and in photos, I'm not really missing much in the 120mm zoom range with the 6X on the Lunar Ultra. Now, if they do fix all these problems at some point and bring more settings to be able to make the camera more efficient, like being able to limit it to 6x zoom so it doesn't go past that, and I'd like to actually be able to limit it to 3x, going from 1 to 3 and so on, and definitely adding a preview LUT when shooting log, because shooting log is so difficult outdoors, you can't hardly see the screen. I might rebuy the Luna Ultra in 2 or 3 months if everything is updated and working more like it should be. Now, if I didn't send it back and they didn't fix all these items, then I would really regret keeping it. So for me, I'm going to send it back right now. But also, I would like to see them make the Luna Ultra be able to be used as a webcam. It already has the USB-C connection to connect to the computer, and that's what I'm using right now. I'm using 2 webcams, one on me and one for my down shooting. These are the YOLO Cam little mini webcams. I made a whole video on this, how I replaced my very expensive mirrorless cameras with these just $200 a piece YOLO cams because they do such a great job. You should be able to use the Insta360 to do this as well, and that would be a big advantage as well that is currently missing. So that's my thoughts on the Insta360 Luna Ultra. Is it a good camera and system to have? Well, with that extra 6x getting you out to 120mm, that's fantastic. But the thing is, I can do that with my cell phone. And once you switch to that other lens, you're no longer using a 1-inch sensor chip. So then I'm very similar to the same quality I'm getting from my cell phone, and I'm getting 100mm, then I can zoom to 200mm, and with an add-on little screw-in lens that I have, I can get out to 400mm just with my cell phone. Now, the 1-inch sensor chip is very good, but I also have a 1-inch sensor chip in the older Pocket 3. The advantage of the Luna would be that the log shooting is much better in the Luna versus the Pocket 3, but without a preview LUT to be able to see what you're shooting, especially outdoors in bright light, I just don't see it to be very useful like that. That's something that really needs to be fixed. And if they never fix that, I'd be so glad that I sent it back, which I'm going to do. Now, one other thing I wanted to add is I'm interested in the new Sony RX10 V that's been announced. It's supposed to be coming out or being announced around July 9th. That's what the rumors are saying. It's a 1-inch sensor camera. I used to have the RX10 IV, and it was get you out to 600 millimeter with a 1-inch sensor. So I'm very used to being able to use and know what a good 1-inch sensor photos looks like, 1-inch sensor video looks like. I also had the Nikon One system, which was a very good 1-inch sensor camera system that actually had interchangeable lenses. So I'm waiting to see what the Sony RX10 V is going to be. So apparently they've improved the chip quality of the 1-inch sensor, and they're going to be adding on all kinds of face tracking, eye tracking, animal tracking, and all those things to both photo and video. So I might find myself actually buying that camera and liking it as more of my zoom camera to use when I want to do a lot of zooming for both photo and video, in place of the Insta360 Luna Ultra, and then use my Pocket 3 or my cell phone, which I would generally have with me all the time, for any other things in between. So anyway, that's it for today. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.